Because I think that's the most important thing. Because when we stop investing in that which we don't like, our suffering is released. We create mental suffering when we think that something is real, because we automatically make it important. For example, when we think that the body is real, then an enormous amount of importance goes there. When we think we as a character are real, then an enormous amount of importance goes to our character. When we think thoughts are real and important, then an enormous amount of energy goes into our thoughts, which makes for more thoughts, because the thoughts get more energy. So we allocate our energy with what we think is real or important. And the truth is that what we are and what is here is neither real nor unreal. One word that is used a lot in Buddhism is emptiness. But even emptiness is empty, they say. Meaning there's not just this void. Because what we experience in a way is also not just nothingness or void. It's also, when we look at it, not only fullness. Put everything under a microscope and there's a lot of emptiness. This room that I'm in is filled with emptiness. So everything you see experientially can be felt to be empty. But it's not really empty. A shoebox with nothing in it, or a universe with nothing in it. Because in truth, there is something in it too. So this aspect of reality is both empty and full at the same time. What we start to understand and experience with more deeper realization is that everything feels emptier. Buddha says that reality is empty fullness. And the part that is empty is usually not really online in our experience. So when that comes online, we see the world as empty, but it's also full. So we can't really say that it's empty, or we can't really say that it's full, because it's both at the same time. Reality is, we could say. It's both this utter quantum potential, this void that is full of potential, and it is also all things at the same time. But while it is a thing, it's still experientially you're able to penetrate it and feel its emptiness in every object. This is, of course, with meditation practice and with deeper realization, etc. We can sense more emptiness. After spiritual awakening, even, we can sense more emptiness in that which we are experiencing on a day-to-day basis. But what the mind tends to do is to pick a position. And when that position is a good position, pride comes in. And when that's a bad position, so to say, it's a sadness. But truth is that every moment is fresh and there is no solid position in this substanceless substance. This is a video full of paradox because I'm trying to really speak about reality as it is. So when we actually believe that there's a position we are at and that position is not good, then we can definitely suffer. But there is never a real position in this. We're always the whole soup, the full thing, reality as it is. And we're never just the separate person in a certain position. That's the illusion. Whether the body is good or there's something wrong with the body, whether our mind is good or there's something wrong with the mind. It's a position. And a position in this, stance in this, is definitely an illusion. Now, it's not per se a harmful illusion, right? It's for us geeks on the spiritual path or on the non-dual path that want to optimize ourselves and are done with suffering. that this becomes interesting, that we see which positions our mind wants us to be in, and which positions we have invested energy in. Now, there's two ways to deal with the fact that positions inherently are not possible, are not real, or stories are not real, because there's no place to land in this vast wholeness. So one way of dealing with it is to not allow the suffering and stop investing in any of our negative ideas or positions, and then rest in that. That's one way, where we want to be this neutral force in the world. We're not gonna pin ourselves in any position. And then another way to deal with it is to make up the positions. We create positions. With that, definitely we play with energy. We play with outcome. And as long as we don't really believe them, but just set them forth as guiding posts for how we see ourselves, then that's fine, because we're not suffering because of it. So either we tell good stories about ourselves or we tell no stories about ourselves. And this is a personal taste, like what we want to do. There's no one way that is best or good. If you're not suffering, that's great. If you're flowing with what is, that's great. If you're choosing lovely stories to play with, and they're not at the cost of anybody else, you will start to create that reality for yourself based on the position you take. Because everything we've done up to now is a story, which we can revise in a way in our imagination. Now, I'm not saying that there's a problem with letting go of stories, because I think that's the most important thing. Because when we stop investing in that which we don't like, our suffering is released. So it's the most important thing. And what you do up from there, what you do from that point on, is your business. As long as you maybe don't create suffering in others, then that doesn't matter. But there is no real position in this. So if you find yourself in a situation that's not optimal, that makes your mind want to conclude something, then we can realize that there is no conclusion, because there's no endpoint, because there's no solidity, because there's no real position in this. There's just endless freedom. So there's no need to conclude anything or take on any position, especially not the ones we don't like. I hope that helps. Bye.